morning, everybody. So wonderful to have real live people.
Do you want to do that one again? Because it's early. You want to do...
Oh, no, say it in spirit?
Yeah, but it's early.
Oh, okay, I see what you said.
Like, or you can make it longer.
Do it again. We'll do it again. Already, we have a request for doing that song again. You have to do that. Okay. So this is our real opening song now. And I want you to clap along, sing along, go crazy, whatever you want to do. Even if you're at home sitting on the couch and nobody's in the house. Okay? All right. Something happened this morning. Something that I don't stay in the spirit. Can't judge your neighbor with your mind. Stay in the spirit. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. You sing it. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah,
Yes, that's James Brough on piano and McClusky on drums. I know many of you have seen him online, some of you haven't. They've been here all year through. We've had so much fun whenever they're here. So welcome everybody to the Center for Spiritual Living Morristown and our second in-house and virtual experience. I'm so glad you're here. You look amazing. It is a whole different experience to be present here, right? I'm so grateful to our leadership council that has made this happen. And we have Michael Malik here, who's doing sound as well. And give him a little pat on the back because he's put in an enormous amount of time. And he needs to make it better. And there's Fernando Roman, our treasurer. And then we have Val Belluardo, who's probably online. Hi, Val, because Val is in Florida with her husband. And then we have, that's it, right? Me. Me. Yes, and happy to be here. So today, the beautiful Gail Belluardo is assisting me, so you're going to hear some wonderful wisdom coming from her. And Gail is one of our licensed practitioners, and of course we have Theo Tilton, and I really want to thank all our volunteers, but I'll do something special next week because it's going to be volunteer week next week. Who knew? So I want to remind you that there is a website, and it's being made better and better, where all our events are, because we have a lot of events. Right now they're online. So we have the Circle of Truth today, which Gail and I are going to facilitate in-house, and it's just an opportunity for you to move from forgetfulness to remembering that the truth is within you. On Tuesday, we're doing the Reading Circle with Deepak Chopra's book, The Book of Secrets. Then on Thursday, Reverend Jennifer starts her new class, Spiritual Principles and Practices. If you have questions about that, Gail can answer them. That's going to be an amazing class, and it's only 5 weeks, and it's an accredited class, but that may not matter to you. So that's going to be on Zoom, and tomorrow is the last day to register. And then we have Rhonda doing a concert online on the 23rd. And then we have Kat teaching a mandala drawing workshop on May 7th. And on the 5th, we're going to have another blood drive here, which really was a great success last time. So talk to Kathleen Marjota in the back over there, who is the queen of the blood drive. And I want to just have you remember that there are a lot of places for you to go to find out what we're doing here at the center. Oh, hi. Hi. All right. So I want to do a little bit of a guided meditation into a spiritual mind treatment. We did this last week because for me, to have this opening is bittersweet. It's sweet because I get to see your faces, and I'm so happy that we get to be together again. It's hard to believe it's been a year, right? The bitter part, it's not really bitter, but it's just that we have a whole different way of being together. What used to be taken for granted, like hugging each other beautifully and all that, it's not the same, right? We now have to ask. And so we can come up with some fun ways to connect with each other. But we know in our teaching that mind creates experience. And so I want to do a short guided meditation so that you can really have that, really take the marrow out of the bone of being together. So I invite you to close your eyes, and maybe James can kind of tinkle in the background a little bit. All right, so close your eyes and take a few nice, slow, deep breaths. And feel your body fill up with air and then slowly release it with the out breath. And notice what it feels like for you to be here in this space. Some of you were here last week, and some of you are here for the first time again after more than a year. And so reflect for a moment what it's been like for you to not come together as a spiritual community without any censoring or judging, just noticing it, feeling it. Allow yourself to think for a moment what it is that you have missed the most. Place your hand on your heart so that from your hand comes a gentle comfort in case you need it. And then just use your imagination, because see, the brain doesn't know the difference between the real thing and the imagination. Use your imagination to just fill up on all the good. Fill up on what was missing. Fill up on it through your imagination. Allow it to just fall in the nooks and crannies of your very being, so that there's a shift inside your body, your mind, your heart, your soul, and you come back into alignment, into spiritual alignment with the truth. That you belong, that you are loved, that you are ever embraced by this spiritual community, whether you're here or not, and that you can truly receive it whenever you need it most. And so now imagine that you are so full that you're spilling over, and you're allowing it to spill over onto those who are lonely, are lost, are ill, are grieving, or feels disconnected, separate. Just feel it spill over and spill over and spill over and go wherever it needs to go. And then remember what happens, that when we give, we receive. So as you give, it's multiplied abundantly by the universal law, and it comes back to you, return to you, multiplied abundantly to fill up on once again. So you are probably familiar with the saying, nothing is constant but change, right? Everybody's probably heard that. Nothing is constant but change. That's what I want to talk about today. And then that there's one exception. And how we can welcome change instead of resist it, whether that's a conscious or a non-conscious thing, right? So many of you have heard me say, I'm sure of it, that the only person who likes change is a baby with a dirty diaper. Oh, I'm so glad that you didn't know, because I feel like I've said it hundreds of times over the years. There's this cartoon in the New York Times that has a whole group of people sitting in the room, and the speaker up front behind the podium said, how many of you want change? And all the hands go up. In the second square, it says, how many of you want to change? And no hands go up. I looked for some more cartoons, and there's this one where a woman is in a therapist's office or a doctor's office, and she says to the doctor, I'm willing to change, as long as I don't have to do anything different. You may have said that, or at least thought it. And then I saw the one where it said, a boss speaking to an employee, that's what it looked like in the picture, where the boss said, I want you to find a bold and innovative way to do everything exactly the same way it's been done for 25 years. We're a little guilty of that here, but I'm glad that's changing, right? With the leadership, I want you to know that that's really changing, and this is a demonstration of that. And I'm sure you had some of your own, right? And then the last one is in a boardroom. You may have witnessed this as well, where somebody said, what if we don't change at all, and we just wait for something magical to happen? I think I said that one. So we're in April, and April is the month of stepping into the unknown. Stepping into the unknown, which our human nature, our ego mind doesn't quite love. We like things to stay the same. We don't like things to change so much. Stepping into the unknown really invites us to embrace change. And I know that the last year has probably been the most intense year where we've had to embrace a lot of changes. What have been some of your favorites? Patience. Having patience. What have been some of your favorite changes that have taken place? Things that you say, I like that one.
Appreciation for the small things.
Appreciating the small things.
Taking nothing for granted.
Taking nothing for granted.
Being innovative.
Being innovative.
Getting to do new things from far away.
Getting to do new things from far away.
Being grateful for everything you have.
Being grateful for everything you have. Yes. And so what are some of the changes that you've resisted? And again, I want to remind you, I didn't say this, so I'm not reminding you, but I'm reminding you, that there are no wrong answers, and it's not good or bad. It's just what's real and honest for you. What are some of the changes that have happened over the year that you're like, I hate this one?
Not as many social events.
Not as many social events.
Not seeing family.
Not seeing family.
Hugging people.
Hugging people.
Yeah.
Right?
Being on camera.
Being on camera. Yes. Yes, so there's definitely some, because I think we've all received some really big doses of having to change, whether we like it or not. I think many of the changes that the COVID pandemic made us look at or consider or embrace have been really good ones, because people have had to slow down. And that's very important, especially if we're on a spiritual path, This month's Science of Mind magazine, and I have a couple for purchase here if anybody wants them, has some, oh, I lost my clippy thing, has a wonderful quote by Eckhart Tolle. Where he says, at the present time, the dysfunction of the old consciousness and the arising of the new are both accelerating. Paradoxically, things are getting worse and better at the same time. Although the worse is more apparent because it makes so much noise. You might notice that inside your own mind, what makes more noise. And what makes more noise is making more noise because it's inviting you to embrace change. And embracing change is a spiritual practice because nothing is constant but change, except I lied. There is one thing that never, ever, ever changes.
The truth.
The truth. Your essential nature. God within, or whatever you call it, higher power, universal intelligence, infinite love, divine love. It's infinite, and therefore never changes, because it's already all that and then some. And so we must rely upon that one constant, because that's our strength, that's our courage, that's our inner compass, that's our wisdom, that's our inner guidance, that's love. And so we must rely more on that ever constant thing that never changes than everything that's changing around us and in us, right? It's our adaptability. There's something within us that knows really well how to adapt, because that's the infinite intelligence of life itself. We can look to nature and see that. And yet it's a mystery, right? It's such a mystery. We're always experiencing the mystery of life, where we wonder, what's happening and why is this happening and how is this happening? We have to remember that we have more than we need to navigate our way through the changes of life, no matter what they are, good or not so good. We can rely on this inner constant that never changes when life happens. I am very much inspired by nature. When I struggle, I look at my tulips that have been underground all winter, and they're coming up again. Go figure. How's that possible? Right? Or I listen to the birds in the morning, or I look at the trees that are beginning to bud. So recently I heard an amazing story that stopped me in my tracks. It actually made me weep. I was so moved by it. It was one story of nature, and some of you may have heard it. It was an interview with a man whose name is Scott Weidensaul, and he wrote a new book called A World on the Wing. It's about bird migration. And he talked about a bird I had never heard of. The bird is called a bar-tailed godwit. It has the word God in it, which I really like. A bar-tailed godwit. It's not a very big bird. I looked it up. I wanted to see the picture. Has anybody ever heard of that bird? Hold on to your horses, because it's quite a story. I hadn't heard of it either. This bird, every year, makes a 7,000-mile migration from Western Alaska to New Zealand without stopping, going across the widest part of the Pacific Ocean. It takes the bird 11 days. If the bird stops, it will die because it can't be on top of water. Her whole functioning of the body has to change, and it is all prepared for that before it takes flight, so that it doesn't have to sleep. Its brain adapts so that half of the brain can go to sleep and the other half stay awake and switch back and forth every few seconds. Its digestion has to completely change because it doesn't eat for 11 days. Hydration probably is an issue where the body needs to be adapted, and respiration because it's flying 40,000 foot high. It lives for 25 to 30 years. And once it gets to New Zealand and recovers and restores and the seasons change, it flies back to Western Alaska and does that again and again every year. It has been calculated that the bar-tailed godwit flies during its lifetime to the moon and most of the way back. Wow, right? What an amazing story. I couldn't believe it when I heard that. And it just reminded me that if the bar-tailed godwit can do that, then I can do this. Whatever this is. And if I can do it, so can you. And if the bar-tailed godwit can do it, so can you. It's just we have to think about, what am I relying upon? What do I listen to? What do I use? And so we get to welcome and receive all the gifts of change. We get to explore the resistance, not call it good or bad, because you know what happens when we judge resistance? It freezes. It becomes more concrete. Because I once had a teacher who said to me, the more you resist something, the more it persists. You might have noticed that with certain areas in your life, where the more you resist to change something in you, or to learn something new, or to let go and let God, or to forgive, the more it persists. And so we get to embrace that, and maybe just a little bit at a time. It doesn't mean it's all or nothing. Maybe just let go a little bit, or be willing to let go, and then begin to surrender and trust the process that you're in, which is the same at cause as for the bar-tailed godwit. You are given everything you need and the possibility to adapt, to navigate yourself through your life changes. That's because life is for us and never against us. The resistance sometimes comes because we feel something or someone is against us, unconsciously. And so we have to let that go, right? And then we allow for, in the embracing of the changes and the gift of changes, allow for the gifts to reveal themselves. Because I know for myself, when I let go and I surrender and I trust and I embrace the changes that are taking place, then all of a sudden, it's like an overflow and overspilling of many other gifts that couldn't come in if I were resisting. The Science of Mind magazine this month has a wonderful interview with Don Miguel Ruiz, who's written a new book. And he talks about change in a way that I really loved. It's just a short paragraph. He was asked, how are you navigating the restrictions of the global pandemic? With fear and uncertainty prevalent, how can we keep our minds free and know what's true? And he says, this is a historic moment affecting the entire world. This kind of pandemic can pull us together, and together we can bypass any problem without hating each other or destroying. Fear, emotions, feelings, and injustice comes out. The lesson for everyone is love. Love is the motive. The secondary effects are worse than the disease: loss, poverty, unemployment, and starvation. People suffer more for the secondary phase than the disease. And then he says this, I know humanity will survive. We will recover. But this is something we don't want to forget. Prepare. Don't take things for granted, and don't be surprised anymore. Don't take things for granted, and don't be surprised anymore. So the invitation is to be curious, stepping into the unknown and being curious about your body, about your heart, about your mind, about your soul, about your life, and about everything that's happening, because something greater is taking place, and you and I are asked to participate in a healthy way. And so that means we have to heal some things within ourselves and then share that with the world at the same time. It doesn't have to be one after the other. So we're going to have some more music, but before we start some more music, I'm going to invite you to let life show you what is yours to practice, and to do it with so much gentleness and so much love, because there is infinite love and infinite gentleness already within you and available to you. So let's have some music with Richie and James, and then you'll get to hear our own Gail Belluardo.
When my hands were empty, when my hope was gone, I couldn't help but wonder, what had I done wrong? Even though my heart was broken, there was no need for despair, 'cause a vessel can't be open. Thank you, Rosie. Daniel, song.
And so my empty hands are celebrating and clapping for you folks. It's awesome. Thank you so much. So, boy, I'm a little verklempt today. This is something that I have waited for a long time, to be here in the sanctuary with everybody again, and I know so many of you also have. And I think that the challenges that we've had, one of the ones that I've felt most challenged by, perhaps you have too, is living our principle of oneness, right? The principle of oneness is science of mind, it's one of our first principles. It's one of the truths that we believe in, that we are all one. And Dr. Ernest Holmes, our founder, has this beautiful prayer that goes very simply, God is all there is, I am one with God, right? And yet, here we are, this whole year, we've been challenged by not being able to be together, by not being able to do things, losing our freedoms, And so there's been a lot of experience of separation in the outer world, right? A lot of experience of separation. And so as I'm thinking about this, I realize that for each of us, we've all collectively experienced some things like the pandemic and changes in our economy, politics, all of those things. And then personally, we've had other experiences that have challenged us to remember our oneness and have experiences of separation. For example, relationships, right? Who knew? A year ago, who knew we wouldn't be able to see people? Who knew a year ago that we'd have to wear a mask? Who knew a year ago that we'd have to social distance? We couldn't hug. You know, who knew a year ago that we wouldn't be here back in the sanctuary for a year? So it's been quite a challenge. And so throughout this entire time, we've all had our personal experiences, but we've also been in this atmosphere of separation. In race consciousness, there's been a lot of that feeling of separation. And depending on who you are or where you've been, it's been personal, but it's also been very collective. So that separation gives us a sense that somehow something is missing or someone is missing, right? Anybody not feel that this year? Right? So what I've realized is that it has set off in me this experience of longing, this personal human experience of longing. And in the longing, if you think about, I just want to ask, what have you been longing for?
Seeing family.
Seeing family, right?
Community.
Community.
Hugs.
Hugs. Oh, God, hugs. Yeah.
Smiles.
Smiles.
Excuse me. Laughter.
Laughter. Laughter.
For coronavirus to end.
For the coronavirus to end. So how many of us have learned how to smile with our eyes? Right? That's it, right? We've learned how to smile with our eyes. So this longing has almost been like this atmosphere of longing that has now added to the ethers around us. And what I've noticed is that so many people, including myself, can't wait to get out in nature. And the reason for that, and as Reverend Frankie was talking about the tulip this morning and the eternal life of the tulip, how it's perennial, every year it comes back. And the thing is, it's because nature knows oneness. Nature lives in oneness. And so when we get out in nature, our ego, our sense of separation starts to dissolve. And if you let yourself relax enough, you move into that feeling of the oneness. You move into the feeling of being interdependent, interconnected, part of that interweb and the interbeing that Thich Nhat Hanh talks about. And so here we are, interbeing again, even though we have these masks and all that other stuff, right? So belonging. Belonging is something that we all need. It's Maslow's first hierarchy of needs, right? Stephanie? Belonging. Safety and belonging. So belonging is a feeling that is an antidote to longing, if you will. It's a feeling of being accepted, connected, feeling included, and feeling safe. And that's something that has been challenging us this past year. I'm learning. So I want to ask you, what if belonging was always available? What if belonging was always available? Reverend Frankie talked a little bit about the presence of God this morning, and that today it's about the presence. And when you're aware of the presence, when you're aware of your eternal nature, you already feel that belonging without even having to name it. It's just a feeling of just being at home, right where you are, wherever you are with whoever you are. And so I would like to ask you, why would you be longing when you already are belonging.
That's true.
Right? Why would you be longing when you already are belonging? Why would we be longing since we're already belonging? So I invite you to say with me, why would I be longing? Why would I be longing if I already am belonging? And I'd like to then invite you to do this affirmation with me, which is, right where I am,
Right where I am,
right as I am,
right as I am,
I belong.
I belong.
I belong here,
I belong here,
I belong with God,
I belong with God,
I belong with myself.
I belong with myself.
And I'd like to close this now with a reading from John O'Donohue's book, one of my treasures, To Bless the Space Between Us. And the title of this is On Longing, for longing. Blessed be the longing that brought you here and quickens your soul with wonder. May you have the courage to listen to the voice of desire that disturbs you when you have settled for something safe. May you have the wisdom to enter generously into your own unease, to discover the new direction your longing wants you to take. May the forms of your belonging in love, creativity, and friendship be equal to the grandeur of the call of your soul. May the one you long for you. May your dreams gradually reveal the destination of your desire. May a secret providence guide your thought and nurture your feeling. May your mind inhabit your life with the sureness with which your body inhabits the world. May your heart never be haunted by ghost structures of old damage. May you come to accept your longing as divine urgency. And may you know the urgency with which God longs for you. So I'd like to remind you and thank you, first of all, for being here. Each one of you is a blessing and a gift in your world, and I hope that you never forget that. And we're here to honor you. We're here to appreciate you and love you and be available to you. And thank you for your courage to come out, even if you're a little uncomfortable being out in the open. Thank you for wearing your masks and honoring the safety for everyone. And I'd just like to let you know that there are several ways if you would like to support us as we support you. There are different ways that you can contribute to the center. There is a flyer back there. I don't have to read these. There's a flyer back there. You can take it and find out those ways. And just know that we're here. We are here. And after this, Reverend Frankie and I will be doing the Circle of Trust, of Truth, well, which is trust, right? And I'd like to close us now with a closing treatment. And so I invite you to just close your eyes and settle into this moment and knowing that it's God's moment, knowing that this moment is ripe with precious life energy, and it's your life energy. It's a life that is shared by everyone, for God is the great sharer. God is the great giver. And the presence of God throughout this service has been so profound. I've seen the hearts smiling through your eyes, feeling the presence of love and truth and joy coming forth as God comes forth through its own desire through each one of us to be its fullest expression as the individuals that each one of us are here, virtually, and everywhere in the universe. God is calling forth us to be, as Reverend Frankie says, our greater yet to be. Be open to the greater yet to be. And know that we are supported. Each one of us is supported in our growth, in our expansion, and in our transformation. So I bless everyone knowing that this is a time of great unfoldment, a time of great availability of God's presence. And with every breath, I know that each one of us is remembering and reconnecting with that essence of our own lives and the essence of God within us. With profound gratitude, I say, thank you, Mother, Father, God. I release this word into universal law with absolute certainty, knowing that since it has been spoken, it truly, truly is already done. And so it is. Amen. All righty. Want to sing us out?
I hope the days come easy and my wish for you is that this lighthouse of your will stay strong and you carry on. I hope you know somebody like you and what's